What's up, everybody? Continuing on with these comparisons. Now we have the Samsung Galaxy S10. We're going to compare it to the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, and obviously these phones are kind of in a different demographic, I would say. One thing I'll definitely tell you is that Samsung, I don't know what they were thinking with the Note 10, the smaller variant. The Note 10 Plus, which I do have somewhere, that is actually not that bad of a phone. I actually do like that. But the Note 10, this one is a very strange phone, and I feel like these two are going to be quite a bit competing with each other. Mostly because the Note 10 is really only like $50 more than the S10, so I feel like a lot of people would be persuaded, at least in the brand new market. Like if you're going into T-Mobile or you're going into Best Buy and you're playing with the phones, these phones will probably end up being somewhere near each other because of that price point, and also they're also made by Samsung. And the one thing about the Note line right now is that in terms of the way they feel and in terms of like the size difference, they're really not too much different, I would say, in terms of the sizing. But you can kind of tell that the Note 10 is just a little bit bigger. So on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, you have a 6.1-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It is 1440p. You have 550 pixels per inch, and I can tell you from without a doubt, the Samsung Galaxy S10 has such an amazing panel. It is so beautiful. I love this panel so much. I've talked about it. I've raved about it. It's a very good panel. The Note 10, however, has a 6.3-inch dynamic AMOLED display, so it's a bigger display, keep that in mind, but it's a lower resolution, so it's only 1080p. Now, you also have 401 pixels per inch. Now, here's the craziest thing, dude. Why did Samsung put a 1080p panel on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10? It makes absolutely no sense to me, okay? One, it is a bigger panel, so, it's kind of more spread out, but they lowered the resolution. Now, in my opinion, do I notice a crazy difference? I'll be honest, a little bit, okay? At first, I was like, not really. But looking at the S10 and the Note 10 side by side, dude, like, I'm telling you, the Note 10 just, I don't know what they were thinking, like the Galaxy S10. And here's the thing, Samsung makes amazing panels. They source a lot of panels for other phones too, like the iPhones. And Samsung did a killer job even with the Samsung Galaxy S10e, which that one also has a 1080p display. But the thing is, and the key difference is that that's a smaller display. When you have a bigger display, there's more pixels you need to add into before you start seeing pixels and you start seeing whatever. So that's why when you're looking at a phone like this with a lower PPI and also a bigger screen, that's kind of a bad thing, and that's not a really good thing. With the S10, you're getting a much better panel, so without a doubt, the S10 in terms of the screen and everything is a much better deal. And I'll also go one step further and say that, I don't know, I think the S10 feels better in the hand. There's something about the Note 10, the kind of the jagged corners, this phone is a lot more edgier in a way, if you know what I mean. But that's all personal preference. All Note phones have really been like that. One funny addition or actually reduction of the Note line now is that there's no Bixby button, it's just a power button. On the S10, you do have the Bixby button on the side. Looking on the back, we have triple camera sensors on both of them. I'll get into them in a second, at least both of them. But I'm going to make separate dedicated videos talking about those cameras, so I'm not going to spend all day talking about them because I can make a 30-minute video just on that alone, so I'm going to do that. On the side, only the power button on the S10 and really nothing on the Note 10. On the whole side of the phone, the right side, it's completely clear, so I really like that. Obviously, the biggest thing about the Note 10 is obviously the S Pen. That's probably one of the biggest features of the Note line, but I'm not necessarily going to talk about it too much because nothing you can compare with the S10 because the S10 does not have a Note line or Note Pen or S Pen or whatever. So I'll definitely say that's a really good plus point for the Note line. You have that capability, where on the S series you do not have that. Now that kind of covers everything from a hardware standpoint in terms of how they look on the outside. Now another stupid thing that Samsung did was that they removed the SD card slot on the Note 10. So on the S10 you still have that. You can upgrade the memory, put however much memory you want into it. The Note 10 does not have that. The Note 10 Plus does have that, but this one does not. So that's stupid. I don't know why they did that. So that pretty much covers up everything from an outside standpoint. Now let's go ahead and talk about the software. And I'm pretty sure both of these are going to get the same amount of software variants or versions. So I don't think one is necessarily going to outlast the other. What I will tell you is that I think the Samsung Galaxy S10 will probably end up getting better custom ROM support than the Note 10 eventually when custom ROMs do come out and a root does come out for these. I think the S10 already has a root for it, but let's just say a year down the line, I feel like there's going to be more developers for the Samsung Galaxy S10 than the Note 10, but that's kind of getting into the nitty gritty. I don't even think that applies to a lot of people here. I don't think they're going to custom ROM their phone. But that is one thing I wanted to hit on. Custom ROMing, a lot of people are saying it's dead, but honestly, I love custom ROM so much. So if you're a third-party developer or you want to get into the development, please keep making custom ROMs. I love them so much. If nobody else tells you, I love you guys, keep it up. So that pretty much covers up everything in a software standpoint. Pretty basic. I don't think one's going to outlast the other. And if it does, it's only going to be like a 0.1 release. It's not going to be like a full Android version, I don't think. So let's go ahead and get into a speed comparison between these two. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you the specs on both these phones, and then I'll run the speed test after. So they're actually pretty similar. The Samsung Galaxy S10 has a Snapdragon 855 chipset, an octa-core CPU, and depending on the variant, actually all variants have 8 gigs of RAM, so that's a really cool thing. I'm really happy about that. There's 2 different variants of the S10 though, the 128 and 512, but they both have the same amount of RAM, so that's why it's kind of confusing. The Note 10, however, also has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset, an octa-core CPU as well, an Adreno 640 GPU, same, and also 8 gigs of RAM, so technically speaking, they have almost the same exact thing. Really the biggest difference I think is going to be in terms of the screen actually pushing the pixels, because this is a 1440p display, 550 pixels per inch. This is a 1080p display with 401 pixels per inch. Bigger screen though, but lower resolution, also lower PPI, so let's go and see which one is the faster device between both of these. So just like the last one, these phones are going to be flying everywhere. So I have the same apps on both of them. Let me go and clear out on all of them. As you can see, all the apps are clear. So let's go ahead and get into the speed comparison. Let's go and do Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. And I think the Note 10 was a little bit faster there. Not by much, but just a little bit. Let's do BOFA. 3, 2, 1. I don't even know why I use this app because I don't even bank with Bank of America. So, okay, almost the same. I think one was a little bit faster, but again, like not by much. Let's do Totem. 3, 2, 1. Now there might be a different pop-up or different segments that I'm in into both of these games, so I might have to actually redo this one. And technically speaking, the Galaxy S10 was able to get into this faster, at least into the booting screen. The Google Play thing, whatever, install that. I don't really understand why they do that every single time. They should just have it installed into every single phone before they even ship it out, but that's really cool. At least the S10 beat it there. Let's go and do Thank You. 3, 2, 1. And that was almost identical. If I had to say, maybe the S10 was just a split second faster, like not by much though. Like it was very close. And I think that's honestly how this whole entire comparison is going to go. I think both these phones are going to be like kind of close with each other in terms of this, in terms of the sheer, I guess, speed comparison between them. I don't know. Let's do Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. And I honestly wasn't looking, but let's go ahead and get into the actual game itself. And I think, like I said, this is a very basic game, so I don't think anything's going to, we're going to find anything too crazy about it. But maybe we'll see some stuttering or there between one phone or another. No, not really. Let's go and do Fruit Ninja. 3, 2, 1. And actually the Note 10 was faster there, and this is a really important thing, and I'm glad that I always do this game because I always forget until this comes up. One important thing to hit on is that even though technically speaking the Note 10 has a bigger display, look at the actual gameplay of both these phones. Now let me try to see if I can go back. If I can, it's not even that big of a deal, but look at the bars on the Note 10. I don't mean wrap bars or 16s or anything. I mean look at the size of these phones, because look how much more gameplay or game screen you have on the S10 that you don't have on the Note 10. That's kind of weird. You're getting a bigger display, but the actual screen of the game and what you're incorporating and what you're messing with is actually smaller on the Note 10. So kind of weird. I don't know what's going to happen. I think once game developers kind of start learning about this, they're going to start fixing the aspect ratio and all that. So kind of a weird thing, but also very important to hit out. Let's do Real Racing 3. 3, 2, 1. And I do think the Note 10 was just a little bit faster to get into that booting screen. Is it that big of a noticeable thing? I mean, honestly, not really. I mean, like, if you're playing these games, like, maybe if you're comparing them side by side, you might notice a little bit of difference, but it's really not as big of a difference as you might think. So I'll go ahead and just load up a few apps in the background just to kind of see the RAM, but I didn't really load up too many apps to kind of figure out that big of a thing, but they also have the same amount of RAM, so I don't think we'll notice that much of a difference, to be honest. But this is what I'll basically tell you in terms of speed comparison. Like, without a doubt, I do think the Note 10 is a little bit faster, but there's also cases where the S10 is faster, so it's kind of hard to determine which one is like the faster one between them. I think it's pretty close. Just know that some apps are designed better for the Samsung Galaxy S10 than on the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, and that's because app developers, this phone wasn't released, and it's kind of a different aspect ratio than the Samsung Galaxy S10. But once app developers figure that out, like Fruit Ninja and all those different games, it'll kind of get better and better over time. Now, in terms of the cameras, like I said, a whole separate dedicated video coming out, but you have triple camera sensors on both of them, and they're almost identical beautiful. You have two 12 megapixel sensors on both and also an additional 16 megapixel ultra wide sensors. So from what I'm reading, the Note 10 is the better camera because of the features that are also incorporated within this camera. But I don't think the Galaxy S10 as a whole, like the Galaxy S10's camera is amazing, one of the best cameras I've ever used. The Note 10 also an amazing camera. So I guess we'll figure out what the general consensus is in the next camera comparison that I do. On the front, they're both 10 megapixel sensors as well. They're both hole punch displays, which is really cool. I kind of do like the S10s though, that's like in the corner. I think it's kind of funny when it's in the middle, but I don't really care, honestly, to be honest. So that kind of covers up the camera aspect thing too. Now here's the thing that I'm probably most salty about, and I don't know why Samsung did this, but here's the thing and here's the tea. When Samsung made the Note 10, they actually put a smaller battery within it than the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. So they put a 3500 mAh battery here coming from the Note 9, which is 4000. But here's the thing. There's a 3400 mAh battery on the S10. So technically speaking, the Note line, which was supposed to be the bigger phone, the biggest this, baddest that, biggest battery, is not even that much bigger than the Samsung Galaxy S10. And this isn't even the S10 Plus. The S10 Plus has a way bigger battery than this. I think it's 4000 or even bigger than that. So what was Samsung thinking? Now, in my opinion, I do think the Galaxy Note 10 will last you longer in terms of battery life because of the screen resolution. It's way lower and also less screen density. PPI is smaller. But I don't know, man. Like, I would be willing to give up a little bit of battery life to get back, a better looking screen, a higher screen resolution. I just think it's really weird. They both have a reverse wireless charging, so you can reverse wireless charge both these phones if you want to. I don't know, man. I don't know what Samsung was thinking there. They should have put a bigger battery. They should have put a 4000 mAh battery on this and then put a 4500 or 5000 mAh battery on the Note 10 Plus. That would have been really cool. But that kind of covers up everything I really wanted to hit on, at least all the important points. If anything, I feel like Samsung could have done a better job on the Note 10. I think the Galaxy S10 is an amazing phone, okay? And if you're planning on getting either of these phones, let's say you can't tell, I'm going to tell you and advise you, get a used Samsung Galaxy S10, okay? If it's between both of these phones, a used Samsung Galaxy S10 is the best value you can get right now. I wouldn't even pick up a new one unless you have like an upgrade or you have money to blow, then go for it. But an S10 between the Note 10, I think an S10 is a better phone, better screen, micro SD card slot. It's really not that much difference in size of the battery. Cameras are almost the same. You still have almost all the features of the Note 10, just excluding the S Pen. So I really don't think you're missing out on too much there. I've heard a lot of people didn't even use the S Pen. And that's coming from brand new. So the Note 10 right now, brand new, $949. S10 I think is $899. In the used market right now, an S10 is like less than $500. You can probably pick one up for like $450, $400 if you really looked. Get a Galaxy S10 in my opinion. However, if you don't want to go that route, you can always get certified refurbished. If you want to pick either of these phones up, I'll find the cheapest ones on Amazon and I'll link them straight down in the description below. You guys can help support the channel at the same time when you purchase things, so that'll mean so much. But that is pretty much it. That is what I'm thinking. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.